Arrow.
Hey, Tony, man, this is our annual event.
Come on now.
How are you doing?
Let's do it. Let's do it. And we're talking about different stuff this time. Love it.
Well, the thing about it, you say that it's different, but yet this story's been with us for what, 25 years?
Yeah. God, is that what it's been? So it was '08, right? And so 15, coming up on 16 years now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's almost like we can say we've grown up with this story now because Casey Anthony is so into our thinking pattern anymore. We see her picture, we know her. She's branded.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I remind myself because I did not. I know it was a huge sensation in 2008. You know, she disappeared, was last seen June, I think 16th of 2008. The trial was in 2011, 5 months from the time she was last seen, you know, her remains were found. And I remember what an enormous sensation it was. But Arrow, I was working on the domestic side of CNN at the time, and we were deep into the McCain-Obama campaign for the presidency. So, you know, I was not as immersed in the story as, say, Nancy Grace on our sister network at the time when she was with Headline News. So for me, I had to get reacquainted with the story because even during the trial, 2011, when the trial happens, she's acquitted of murder. She's found guilty of, you know, lying to police, but she's acquitted of the charge that would have, you know, put her to death. I was in the Middle East covering the Arab Spring, so I had to get reacquainted with the story. And as I did, I just settled on the idea and the notion of this being such a horrific family tragedy. I mean, I know that seems obvious now, but when you really dig in, I think you feel the length and the breadth of just what a tragedy it is. And I spent 4 days with George and Cindy, and it's an ever-present thing for them. When you walk into their house, and it's a small house, and it's kind of a shrine to this family. There are pictures everywhere of Caylee and of Casey, and you know, you can feel as you're essentially dredging up all of the events of those years, you can feel how much this is still a part of their lives on a daily basis. And so it was a difficult 4 days. You know, I struggled a little bit coming out of that space. Because it was so emotional, and I think it's one of the more provocative things I've ever worked on. And as you know, we've touched on some pretty provocative stuff.
Yeah, the lie detector test. You know that people are going to. This is going to be water cooler conversation. They're going to be all over the internet talking about this. Did you see? Did you see? Did you see? And you're going to be a big magnet with this documentary.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't, well, I didn't appreciate it at the time so much because initially it's like, okay, I got to get up to speed on the story. I have to understand these two personalities that I'm going to sit down with. I need to take a look at all of their previous interviews and this, that, and the other. And so my focus was just on understanding and finding the entry points to tell this story. But I remember going back to work in New York and the executives from A&E telling me that this is going to be huge. And I just don't think about it in terms of just think about how do I execute the work as best I can. And that was the first notion that I got, that executives who know that world so well and certainly know their viewers really well and know the story very well had seen something different in what we did in Orlando with George and Cindy. And they're feeling that it was going to be big for the audience and big for people who have followed this story. Well, that was a surprise to me, and it's been affirmed at every step since then. I mean, we shot this a couple of months ago, and it's just airing now, and I can't even tell you, if you're talking about the metrics in our business, impressions, this, that, and the other online, it's nuts.
Well, I got to tell you, from our side of the view, what we've always had are the tabloids, and we believe the tabloids, the fake news and things. And so to hear that your name is attached to this story now, suddenly inside our hearts, we're going, oh, we're going to get to the bottom of this now, and I'm going to get a better picture of what this story's all about.
Well, I think you're kind of say that. It's kind of because I want that. You know, I take this idea of being the audience's surrogate seriously. And I do. I really want to get to kind of the bottom of this thing. And what I will say, because, you know, I'm always kind of candid in our sessions together. I made it sound like therapy, didn't I? But I always try to be as candid as I can while kind of preserving the integrity of the piece. And, you know, I want people to see the results for themselves and make of it what they will. But this is greater clarity. There's no way around the fact that at the end of the 2 hours, you will have greater clarity on the story. The complete and unvarnished truth, maybe that's a bridge too far, but you will absolutely be able to attach what you know to what you're hearing. Yep. And be able to suss out for yourself whether or not this feels like an advance in the story. From where I sit, it absolutely feels like we move the story forward in a significant way. I know that people are going to be talking about it. I think they're going to be stunned by the results. And remember everything that was on the line for George and Cindy when they sat down to take this polygraph exam. I mean, depending on how this turned out, it was always going to open up a new line of questions. And there was always a chance, depending on how the results turned out, that it could open up a whole new line of official inquiry. So there was a lot at stake, a lot on the line, and I can't tell you how it turns out, but there are going to be plenty of questions when it's all said and done, and everybody gets a chance to see it.
You just bring the drama, man. I love this.
It's there naturally too. I'm not even working it. It's there naturally.
But see, that's what I love about it. You have no fear when it comes to stories like this. I love that about you.
No, I love it. I love taking on the tough cases. When we were, and we've talked numerous occasions about The Proof is Out There. We've got a new show coming up with, it's kind of an extension of the Proof brand that I'm really excited about. And hopefully we'll get back together and we'll talk about that after we get it shot. But I just love sort of finding new places and new lanes to do this craft called journalism. And I know, and I know it's getting a bad rap now. The political journalists are letting us down a bit, in my view. But, wherever I can find an opportunity to tell a really compelling story, I'm all for it.
I love it. You be brilliant today, okay, sir?
Great to talk to you, brother. And let's do it again soon.